The following is a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is Black Hollywood Live, Geek.Nerd.Tech, featuring a weekly roundup of tech news and gossip. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host of Black Hollywood Live, Geek.Nerd.Tech.
Okay. Welcome to Geek.Nerd.Tech, Northside, Long Beach. Welcome to Geek.Nerd.Tech, the show we break down nerd culture, tech news from a black and brown geek perspective. We went from 1987 to 2015 with this opening song, Vince Staples' song I'm listening to right now, a song that Keely seems to hate.
No, I don't hate.
All right, you didn't hate it. We're here. We're in the building. We got lots to talk about. Lots to let you know about. Want to get some of those Star Wars stories that we didn't get to last week. Want to talk some tech news, some pop culture news. Want to tell you about DraftKings, which I'm really into. But before I do that, how you doing, Akili?
I'm doing all right, man.
Hanging in there?
Hanging in there, brother.
Yep.
How about yourself?
I'm doing great, actually.
Excellent.
I'm doing real good right now. I'm excited about these topics that we have to talk about.
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, so I want to get into Uber and Lyft. Uber and Lyft in LAX. This is, for us, we live here in Los Angeles. We know that Uber and Lyft has always had some difficulties with some cities and some areas where the taxi cab culture is very entrenched.
Oh, yeah.
One being Las Vegas, New York being another. And LA and LAX, the taxi cab drivers were really upset about Uber coming in and snatching up their folks.
Yeah.
Understandably so. So the Uber and Lyft drivers have fought this thing and fought it, and looks like they won.
The people have won, at least here in LA. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about this?
I think it's awesome. I mean, the whole concept of Uber is giving us the word of disruption. We use that kind of like in our lingo now, and I think a company that's maybe going on 4 years old, 5 years old has disrupted a whole industry that has gone on for generations. And so I think because it's crowdsourced, it's people-based, I think it's a great win. I mean, it's a new way of doing business, a new way of transporting people. It's employing people. People are able to be self-employed and make money. And I think having the limitation of being able to scoop people from the airport hindered people's ability to provide for their family. So I think it's a good thing. And I think that the taxi drivers that are complaining, they got to adapt.
Right.
They got to figure out a new way.
I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. I agree wholeheartedly. I think the one point that was brought up that I never really thought about is the idea of having all these drivers sort of fingerprinted and tracked because of possible terrorist things and whatnot. I mean, on one hand, it's no different than I go to the airport all the time. No one's tracking me.
Exactly.
But at the same time, these are official. There's a whole influx of new people that are coming into the airport. So maybe there's something to that. But whatever. Look. I'm with you. I think it's fantastic. So well, props to Uber and Uber drivers. It makes my life a lot easier.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. Last point, I'm interested to see if they'll have a string of victories in other cities. What do you think?
I think they will. I think that this is just what capitalism is about. I feel like that the competition makes everyone better. I mean, the taxi cab industry has to step their game up. They've got to really
step your game up.
Yeah, they got to really reinvent themselves. I mean, these cab companies are sort of leaning back on the fact that we cabs. Like, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, in Las Vegas, they're literally on that. Like, hey, our whole ecosystem depends on these cabs, so we ain't doing shit.
Right.
So I get that, but I don't know.
Right, we'll see.
We will definitely see. Moving on, this is something that is somewhat surprising, but it's not. There's a new study out that's saying like drivers aren't necessarily so excited about all this new connectivity. There's some that JD Power and Associates, who's known for their auto, or known for all their sort of surveys and analysis, has looked at in 2015, and all this connectivity. The Apple Drive, the Apple stuff, and the Google stuff,
CarPlay.
And the CarPlay and the Android Audio, aren't really doing so well. And the reason being, they found out that only people use something like 23% or like 20% of the stuff on the, or 20% of owners only use all that stuff, which is nothing. But it makes sense to me because nobody explains this shit to nobody. Like the whole thing is, what they're saying is it goes up when the dealer takes the time to explain you what this stuff is, and you see the benefits of it. Right. And if you don't, you just use your old shit. Right. That's just human nature.
I mean, I think that's exactly right. And then from the developer side or the manufacturer side, you're spending billions of dollars a year to implement this technology into vehicles that people aren't utilizing. It's almost like a waste.
Yeah.
And then also, I mean, if they're not using it now, and the next year is going to be a newer, fresher iteration of the technology. It's like, okay, so why are we investing so much time and money? But I mean, and also, the younger generation, those are the ones that are hip to the newer technology. They may or may not be of driving age yet. So it's like, okay, so there's a breach in information in terms of like, hey, the educational process of how to use the technology in the vehicle. I can't relate to that. Like, I love the technology.
Yeah, me too. I think it's all fantastic, but you and I are different. You and I are a very specific demographic, and I think that there's a couple things at play here. Number one, well, to your point, if you're the manufacturer and you're spending millions and millions of dollars or billions of dollars in this case to roll this out, it's actually your responsibility to make sure that people the training is there and that the information is out there. I feel like if I'm Google or Apple and I'm spending all this money to get this into cars, then I'm doing a giant Apple PR campaign to let people know about CarPlay, let them know what it does. Like, you can't just put the shit in there and expect nobody to, expect people to know stuff. Right. That's the first thing. The second thing is, you hit on the head. Millennials are the people who love to adopt this new technology. Two things. Number one, they're not old enough to drive. A lot more old enough to drive. The ones that are old enough to drive aren't buying brand new cars. Right. And if they are buying brand new cars, they're not buying brand new cars that are fully equipped with Apple Play and Google Auto.
Well, this is my thing. If you're buying a new car and you're using the technology, or you're not using the technology, what the fuck difference does it make? You bought the car.
Yeah, exactly. This is like Eazy said about his records when they when they're steamrolling the records, and he's like, they bought them shits. Yeah. So
like, why does it matter if they know how to use the radio or know how to connect their iPhone to it?
It's very true. I think it's more of a JD Power. I think this speaks to the larger picture of like the podcast industry, for instance, is really ramping up, and it's almost like a bubble and a ballooning, and sort of like a new influx of podcasts and things like that in anticipation for these things being available on Android and in cars and whatnot. So there is something to be said about like, oh, what if it's almost like a weird scare thing. What if nobody listens? What are we doing now? But I'm not worried about any of that. It just takes time for technology to sort of work.
It's not like you're asking drivers to code while they're driving. Like, it's very simple stuff.
Yeah, well, I think the education has to be there. And also, last thing I'll say is, like, these luxury cars and the cars that have this stuff are usually bought by older folks, older folks 40 and up, 35 and up. Sometimes
don't try to put my age group in there.
40 and up, the baby boomers and whatnot. I know baby boomers. My mom is buying the car. She would not even look at. She'd shut the screen down.
Hey, my mom is complete opposite.
And keep driving.
Should be hitting the touch screen. Like, yo, how can I figure this out?
My mom said, mom would be like, there's something to do with the. How do you shut it down? Anyway, let's move on. All right, so next. We have this is Twitch. This is cool. So YouTube. I love this story because YouTube is launching this sort of gamer only channel, which I think is a fantastic idea. I think that for me, like, I'm not the gamer. I used to call myself a gamer, but I'm not really the gamer I used to be. But I think that there's a hugely as underserved as a gaming as much. I'm sorry, I didn't say this another way. As much money as a gaming industry is making, billions of dollars. As much money as these when a title drops, it makes $200 million the first day or whatever. As much money as it's generating, more than the film industry still. I feel like that all the other markets, all the other areas gamers are still underserved, and the fact that like you can go on YouTube and watch playthroughs that get like 10 million hits. 3 million hits on a full playthrough for like 70 minutes, like is insane to me. So I think YouTube is finally looking at those numbers come in and decided that we're going to dedicate something for gamers only, and that's kind of what they did.
And not just that, man. You got to think especially within the last maybe 5 to 7 years. When we talk about gaming, we often don't mention mobile gaming, which which is
great point.
Big piece of the market share. So
That's a great point.
a lot of people are on their phone playing games. They want to be on Twitch and do the same thing that they're doing if they have an Xbox or if they have a PlayStation. So I think for that reason, it's a great move for YouTube. They already monetize their stuff, all the video content. So to niche it out and to deliver it something direct to a specific audience, game lovers, I think it's a great move.
Yeah, I think it's a great move too. I think it's fantastic. It's very smart. They tried to buy Twitch, which was Amazon, which Amazon got for $970 million. Twitch has 1.5 million total broadcasters with 100 million unique views a month.
Right.
I mean, I can't believe this is how how people are just, this is flying below all the content makers, Hollywood's radar. It's flying underneath it. I really do. I think the people in our business and the people who are in our business, meaning like the television and sort of film business and entertainment business at large here in Hollywood, aren't really getting down and seeing these numbers. I feel like that's more of a Silicon Valley thing that they're seeing these numbers, and a Madison Avenue thing. Madison Avenue and Silicon Valley are all over these numbers, and we need to capitalize. Whereas Hollywood's those gamer kids. And I just think there's some missed opportunities there. So that's okay. They can leave that money on the table if they want to.
Amen.
Speaking of leaving money on the table, I joined DraftKings, and we're doing a big DraftKings promotion here. DraftKings, are you hip to DraftKings at all?
Yeah.
DraftKings is, so I'm a big fantasy football guy. I'm in one. I do one big league every year. I might do a second one, but I supplement that with some DraftKings, and DraftKings is a mobile. It's basically a way to play fantasy football every single week with a restarting every week. The way fantasy football normally works is you pick your team, you go throughout the whole season and the whole thing, which is fine too. Some people just want to go week to week.
Right.
And the thing about DraftKings is you can play anybody, anywhere, multiple people, and you win real money. Yeah. Like real money. They gave away $2 million to first place and $1 million to second place. Yeah. That's real money. And then also you go week to week and week. The commitments aren't as long. It's a really fun way to play. It isn't fantasy as usual as you usually know it. It's fantastic. And so what we're doing here is, if you want to get started, you can go to DraftKings.com, use the promo code GEEK, and you can play free.
GEEK.
Yes, right. Geek. Play free for the shot at $2 million first prize and a $1 million second prize. So that makes sense. I mean,
get your money, Doc.
I mean, enter Geek now for free entry at drafts.com. That's drafts.com. Sorry, DraftKings.com. Excuse me. Geek at DraftKings.com. So go to DraftKings.com. Check that out. Welcome to the big time. I love this.
Catch a fade, homie.
I don't really lose though, so this was good to me. I don't really lose. I'm pretty good. I've made the Super Bowl, the playoffs every year in my. I won the Super Bowl one year in my league, so I'm pretty strong.
All right, well, if you're so strong, man, bring home that $1 million.
I might have to bring on that $1 million. If I actually winning that $2 million. $2 million is first place. You can get the $1 million for second. Because you get second place. All right. So moving on. So check that out. DraftKings.com. Promo code GEEK. All right. So speaking of, well, this Facebook story. Facebook has launched something called M, which is their human-powered assistant. And this is sort of an answer to
when M played him. That's right.
This is an answer to Siri and for Apple that and my girlfriend and Cortana for the Google, whatever that stuff is that Alexis uses that I don't know about. This is interesting because this is actually the idea of using a human, essentially a real human, to answer these questions with a dual purpose. Number one, it gives you ability to do more things. So, for instance, you can say like, "Hey, plan my vacation, M," or "Hey, M, make some dinner reservations for me." Stuff that Siri can't do.
I mean, the difference between Siri and Cortana is that both of those are just purely technology based.
Yep.
Versus M, it is technology based. It is but it's also fused with some more human connectivity. So it has both. It has an actual human that's answering questions and directing you, but also has the algorithm and the technology built into it.
Well, I think the reason for that is because AI has to learn from somewhere. So the idea is that like you're teaching the artificial intelligence these things, these nuances of human interaction that you can't just write in code. Right. So you've got to teach it. Like they use an example of like, look at all the cats on the internet and find the best cat video. We got to show the AI what a cat looks like, what a cat video looks like. So I think that this is a way, if you do this is an experiment that'll happen over a couple of years, and then the idea being after a couple of years, the AI will have absorbed all of this information and is able to learn all this and do it themselves.
I think this
is scary.
I think this is a great move because of our dependency on Google for anything that we question or we want to search for. Like the straightaway, thing that we do is hop on Google.com and plug in our question.
Right.
Versus now, like Facebook is trying to compete with that, obviously, and have people stay in the Facebook ecosystem. So if you have a question or if you have something you're seeking out or you want to purchase something or whatever it may be, now you can do it through M and stay within the Facebook parameters, which I think, is big money for them.
Facebook just continues to move. I gotta hand it. I don't use Facebook, but I gotta hand it to them. They keep making move after move after move, right? And the innovation there, and it's all about the money and innovation. Their commitment to innovation is pretty strong, and their commitment to sort of staying on top. It's not just we're gonna scoop up every new technology like Snapchat or whatever. We're gonna scoop up all the stuff that comes up, but it's also we're gonna innovate.
Yeah, they're building and scooping.
Yeah, so I mean. It's a really good, that company is really doing some great things. It's hard for me to hate on them as much as I do, but I do.
Man, they're in the top contenders.
Speaking of Facebook, though, there's some interesting thing. This is kind of one of my overall favorite topics, which is sort of like the legal curve and the technology curve, how far ahead the legal curve is. So much farther ahead than the technology curve, and when those things intersect and when these things come up, because we just go, whether it's Moore's law, whether it's some other thing, we just continue to just develop and technology, and the technology moves fast. Legal and lawmaking moves slow.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
slow-mo.
That's interesting. So we have this interesting case here where this woman named Stacy Maddox, who's a fan of your favorite show, The Game on BET.
That's right.
That's right. And
my favorite.
Sorry.
It's my number one show.
I'm sorry. So The Game has been around for a long time and has a lot of fans, and this is a very interesting also television story as well. The Game was canceled, gone, and this woman, Stacy Maddox, started an independent Facebook page, sort of a campaign to sort of bring The Game back, or really it was just sort of like a fan page. Yeah. And she started collecting a ridiculous amount of likes, up to the tune of 100,000 likes a week.
Oh yeah.
And then got more than 6 million social media fans, and these numbers were if they had those numbers on TV, they would be set.
Oh yeah.
So they took a look at that and said, "Well, I got 6 million fans. That's enough people to have this to watch this show every week."
Right.
So they brought it back on the strength of that. And the issue is
they brought it back on your favorite network,
BET.
Yeah.
My favorite show, my favorite network.
Yeah, exactly.
So they what's interesting about this is BET was savvy enough to sort of say, "Hey, we're going to bring you in."
Savvy.
Word often used with BET and marketing. They're savvy enough to come in and bring Stacy in and say, "Hey, we're going to, make you our official social media person for this show,
and pay you $30 an hour.
We're going to pay you big money, $30 an hour. Good looking out. You do whatever you do in the Facebook world." And so she's like, "Yeah, that's not enough money."
Nah.
And they're like, "What do you mean, man? We're BET. Get out of here." So this led to a big lawsuit, between Stacy sort of suing BET and back and forth, and ultimately she lost. And
took an L, man.
Took a huge L to the tune of $400,000 in legal fees, but she lost because the idea is there's no proprietary ownership of likes, and more importantly, there's no proprietary ownership of likes because Facebook owns. You can't own a Facebook page that Facebook owns.
Right.
So the idea that you're playing in this sandbox of Facebook doesn't mean that you're an owner, and it's it's a microcosm to show you about what my fear of the entire Facebook universe, which is you don't own your shit.
Explain how BET owns it then.
Well, you play devil's advocate? Is this what you would say in the courtroom to the judge?
I surely would.
Okay, I would say BET owns it because BET owns the IP.
But they didn't own the IP before she started it.
BET owns the intellectual property of the game. So
Not before she started the Facebook page.
but we're talking about the Facebook page, or we're talking about the game. She started a Facebook page about the game.
Yeah, before
Right.
BET bought the IP.
Right.
So how does BET own the Facebook page?
Well, I don't know, man. I'm not.
Come
a lawyer.
on, man.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just saying that they
Bullshit,
ruled.
man. The little people. It's the little people.
No, they said they just ruled that she can't own something that Facebook owns, but Facebook clearly is okay. I guess maybe Facebook's okay with BET owning it, but not okay with the little girl. With the little girl, excuse me, with the Stacy Maddox owning it.
That's what I'm saying.
So
It's a
how do you
conspiracy,
feel? Okay,
brother.
I know. The black ball. I'm sorry. Okay, so explain to me. Well, how do you feel about this situation? I know that you're. What kind of is this setting the wrong precedent, the right precedent? This is a really interesting case to me.
It's an interesting case because, yeah, like it in a way she did all the groundwork, all the heavy lifting to create. I mean, she didn't create the platform, because that's what Facebook created, but
Right.
she used the technology to be able to bring fans in and create a conversation.
Yep.
And that ramped up to them revitalizing the show, bringing the show back. So
Yeah.
I feel like for Facebook to come in and be like, nah, chick, you don't own this. BET owns it, or to decide who owns it. I don't know. That's a bit unfair.
Well,
but because you sign the terms and services and conditions and all that stuff, like, you have no argument.
Yeah, exactly. This is less about what's fair and more about precedent for Facebook's side. This is Facebook's reminding you that you don't own shit on Facebook.
Nah.
You
don't own your own information.
You're basically renting this space for free.
Yeah.
You can put all the pictures up you want. You can
Yep.
put all the information up you want. You can show all the naked pictures you want, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
They can't do that, but like whatever you want to do. But guess who owns all of this? Not you.
Right.
And so this is another reminder of that. And the second that they say that Facebook allows someone to say, oh yeah, you can make money off the stuff that you own off our site, then they are in huge trouble.
But that's
Huge trouble with all these with 1 billion users.
I have to study the story more, because say you or I create something and a company comes along and gets I don't know, a company comes along and builds something around our initial central idea, and now they blow up the idea and want to cannibalize our Facebook page.
Yeah.
Like, how does that work?
Well, what that says to you is don't develop that shit on Facebook. Find another platform to develop that stuff on. Find something that's more proprietary to you.
Like what?
That you can, I don't know, anything, WordPress,
No,
friggin',
if I'm trying to build,
Wix.
I'm trying to build my audience. I'm trying to have
Right.
likes and comments and have a platform for discussion. What other platform would it be?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think that the actual IP of the thing has to exist and live somewhere else. Now I'm turned to a lawyer, and then you have to utilize those other things like Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat as tools to supplement that.
Some bullshit.
You can't build your house on the foundation of Facebook and then be like, I own this mug, right? Because Facebook's like, no, you don't.
Okay.
But the ones who's the big fault here is BET. BET just did her so dirty. Like us,
Hey, we try to offer you $30 an hour
$30 now. You didn't want that, and they try to settle for it. Like we offered her $99,000
salary.
No, they offered for a salary of $32,000 a year, which is terrible. Then they offered her about almost $100,000 settlement. All right.
Here's $100,000.
Here's $100,000. Let me make
For
this
all
go
your-
away.
for all your
For all
hard
your
work.
trouble, it's fine. Meanwhile, legal fees are somewhere about $500,000.
Same
So
right. Same right.
I don't know what they're doing to people, but BET, boy.
See, man.
I don't know. You can talk to your network over there.
Nah,
kid.
man.
You talk to your peoples at BET.
This ain't right,
Get
man.
it right over there. All right, so moving on. Oh, I got completely lost. Where am I? No idea where I am. Oh, here I am. All right. Okay, this is a really quick story. 3D printed drugs are here. I think this is
perfect for you.
Hey,
This is perfect
man,
for you, man.
I can't-
3D print you some coke. Now what?
print the rocks. I'm making so much money printing these rocks.
You don't need. You don't need to be in the kitchen. Just get you a 3D printer.
No, exactly. I don't need to cook up nothing.
Wow.
Cooking days are over.
That's crazy.
No, seriously, no. I don't cook rocks, ladies and gentlemen out there. We don't condone that behavior anyway. But 3D printing. This is cool because the normal technology or the normal way of making drugs, which are these press sort of like very specific machines. This one drug in particular, able to 3D print, you're able to layer the ingredients to the drug. It's supposed to get the dosage in just right. That seems cool, but as we always talked about with 3D printing and with anything cloning and any of these other technologies, what's the other side of that? People printing ecstasy pills, people printing other stuff. So
And not just that. I mean, do you know if it's the right proportion of material of chemicals and materials?
No.
Like, how do you know if you're 3D printing something that's just slightly off and it just makes you start?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's all that. I mean, that's where this is going. People being able to make stuff at illegally, because this what we're talking about now is FDA approved, and they're doing this. We presume all the right way, and all the ingredients are done, and it's done in a way that's supposed to deliver it to your body better. You're able to better do that.
Sure.
So when you're in the kitchen cooking up those e-pills, I don't know if this is gonna be right or not. No, but anyway, it's just very, very interesting. So we'll see where this goes. This thing, we just the time on this, we're running out of time, but like this horrible Virginia shooting, which was so terrible, and also racially motivated, and not the ways we're used to seeing it, but terrible thing. But what our side of the story is, my man instantly shared this on Facebook, and it was
Twitter,
around
and
Twitter, and the question is really about the idea of this these autoplay features that before, and look, both Twitter and Facebook did an excellent job of sort of taking this down, immediately shutting down his account. However, once it's out, and then they have all these autoplay features that you're seeing this heinous act autoplayed in your feed, even if you don't want to see them. Mm-hmm. And so the question becomes, what do we do about this? This is the darker side of of instant sharing, and I mean, he didn't jump on Periscope, thank God, but this is the kind of stuff we're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the job of Facebook and Twitter to be able to shut it down, which they did. Right. So, and I mean, but that also shows you that your stuff is being looked at. Your stuff is not, your stuff is being looked at. So, I mean, if they have the potentiality to shut something down so fast, it says a lot about the infrastructure of that platform. But I do feel, because there are kids on Facebook, and I mean, just that type of footage is disturbing. So, yeah, you don't want that just to show up without you determining that for yourself that you want to watch that.
Right.
So. But yeah, that's my take.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really interesting. I mean, I want to dive in this a little more deeper next week, because there's a lot to say about it. But it's just sort of, again, this is more of the social responsibility curve catching up with the technology curve. So we'll see what happens. Right. Speaking of social responsibility, Quentin Tarantino's new movie Hateful Eight is about to drop in a few months. I'm very excited about this film.
Why is that?
Because I'm a Tarantino fan.
Okay.
And I'm a fan of Westerns. And what just two quick things he says about this is, number one, he talks about this article, this Vulture article interview that he did, talking about how Westerns are this really, even though they're set in a very specific time, depending on what decade they're made, they always reflect the time that it's on. If they're Westerns of the 50s, reflect the Eisenhower sort of time, and
right.
And the 60s were this counterculture Westerns, and the 70s you had these sort of ability kids, like a punk rocker dude, and it's and they're more Watergate Westerns, as they called them. The 80s, it was rah rah Reagan, back, and it's using that time as a canvas to be able to reflect what's happening at the time is something that's interesting. That's the same thing that's kind of going on with Hateful Eight, because it deals in a post-Civil War time, and it deals with a lot of very specifically racial issues centered around white power structure and black folks in particular. He claims that he didn't really write it like that to be so timely as to what's going on right now. He said that stuff was already in the script, and all the stuff came out, and he's very happy that it's going to be able to open this discussion, and he feels very proud of what he's done. And I don't know. I'm interested to see. I haven't. Obviously, the movie's so secret that's really hard to talk about what's in it. But we know that there's elements of that. I don't know how you feel about. I don't know. Are you a Tarantino guy?
I'm a Tarantino guy, 100%. You know what I'm saying? I think that I think what he's going to develop with the Hateful Eight is going to be amazing. From a cinematographer's perspective, and just a narrative's perspective. I love his eye and his viewpoint in terms of how he executes films. It's action-packed, it's filled with violence. I like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm interested to see how he incorporates the racial tension.
And his last Western, Django, was also
Western? I wouldn't call that a Western.
Django's a Western.
A Western.
Django,
I know
the genre.
Original. Yeah.
No, Django Unchained how do you classify that movie? That is a Western. It is set in the West. The Django Unchained is a Western.
Set in the West?
No.
Louisiana is not in the West.
I mean, it's set in the West. I'm saying it's set in the West, but it's set in it's a Western. Meaning by genre
it's set
definition.
in a Western time.
Thank you.
Okay.
What are you trying to say? Django Unchained is not a Western?
Yeah, let's look it up. We can look it up offline.
100% that's a Western.
Okay.
100% it's
You
a
might
Western.
be right. It just, that sounds weird.
I know,
A
but-
movie about slavery is a Western?
Well, it's
Is
well,
Glory a Western?
no.
What's the difference?
That's a good point.
Thank you.
Because Glory is a Civil War movie.
It's still
According
slavery,
to
dog.
Wikipedia, Django Unchained is a 2012 American Western film written and directed by Quentin Tarantino,
Thank you.
set in the Old West and antebellum something or other.
All right.
Antebellum is not the West, though.
Old West.
Antebellum is the Deep South.
But Old West is not is a
Yeah,
term
it just
to
it literally
describe.
just says that it's a deep
It's just
West
confusing.
thing. I know. Yeah.
No, I got it. Well, that's actually a good point. Our Civil War is Western. I mean, our Civil War movies Western is Gloria Western. That's an interesting point. Okay, really quick hits. I didn't touch on this last week. I'm really excited about this. Star Wars Rogue One debuted, or they talked about it debuted at D23. I'm really excited about this. It basically chronicles what happened between Episode 3 and Episode 4 of Star Wars. If you're not familiar with Star Wars, I'm sorry, and listen to the show, I'm sorry, but this talks about how the rebels obtained the plans for the Death Star. And so, the Death Star is being built. That whole, like, in Star Wars, they kind of glossed over it. We obtained the plans for the Death Star. Here they are. Go kill it. And it's like, huh? How did that happen?
Right.
So this actually tells the story of how that happened and who these people were. And I'm really excited about that. This is the thing about, their expansion of the Star Wars universe. We have the movies that directly follow along the Luke Skywalker and Vader timeline.
Right.
And then they're going to do some other full-length feature films that sort of fill in some of the other parts. Looks good. It's directed by my man, what's the name of the dude who directed Godzilla? The movie I Like You Didn't, but like, I'm excited about that. Disney parks are going to get a Star Wars land all across the world. I know they in here in Anaheim they bought a whole. They're going to bulldoze down, not downtown Disney, but bulldoze down where their offices are. Team Disney, which is right by the freeway. There's a whole building right behind Toontown. They're bulldozing that down and making this giant sort of spaceport situation with a Millennium Falcon ride and all this other stuff. Yeah, the fact that like. The fact that Disneyland here is landlocked has always been a thing, like they can never expand. I just got to hand it to Disney for finding ways to expand that landlocked. Right. They bulldozed a parking lot, made California Adventure, and then built one of the biggest parking structures in the world at the time. Right. Now they're looking back and they're bulldozing their whole offices. Like say, we don't need these offices. We'll centralize in Burbank, and then building Star Wars stuff. So, and then all the other places they got room in Florida and other places to do stuff like this. That's not happening in Anaheim. Yeah. But I'm excited about this too, man. Star Wars is living on. The legacy of Star Wars lives on. I'm excited about it.
Legacy. Legacy.
That's all I got, man. Do you care about your stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been to Disneyland in a minute, so it would be cool. I mean, whenever this is built,
right.
5-10 years from now,
like
it would be great to see that. I mean, being that I'm a Star Wars fan too,
yep.
to be able to have rides and the whole just experience like them building that out. I think it's dope.
Yeah, I mean, I love the experience,
and I can't wait to see the new Western. New Tarantino Western.
Hey, Hateful Eight's a Western. He did 2 Westerns back to back, Django and Hateful Eight. That's all I'm saying. All right, thank you for joining us here on Geek.Nerd.Tech. Remember to check out DraftKings.com, promo code GEEK. Alexis, I didn't even introduce you today.
It's okay.
That's how horrible I am.
It's not a big deal. We had a lot of stuff to get through.
Oh, my God. Alexis,
it's all right.
But where can the people find you?
You can find me all over social media as atorres890. Don't forget to check out our sister network, Popcorn Talk, if you love movies. And if you love TV shows, go to AfterBuzz TV. Yes,
Akili Shine.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Akili Shine, AKILISHINERP.
And you can find me at Joe K. Braswell on Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope. You can also check me and Akili out on a Popcorn Talk we did on Straight Outta Compton with Roxy and Phil.
Oh, yeah.
And
that was a good one.
That was a good one, yeah. And I also did, we had a special guest there. And I also did one on Man from U.N.C.L.E. You can check that out as well. And we did a special debate. We did NWA versus Public Enemy, a debate. And I represented NWA, and I won that joint. So you can check that out on YouTube and iTunes as well. Thank you so much for listening. Check out DraftKings. We'll see you next week.
From executives Kevin Undergaro, Dario Christie, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio. Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in.
Hollywood redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.